So, men against boys today for Blackburn Rovers versus Bristol City. And it just shows that although Morton and Wharton are quality young players, they're not ready to hold the fort in central midfield for me. And Travis needs to be there. But we need Travis back to his best, and he hasn't been at his best recently. And he's certainly not at his best when he's playing right back. So we need Travis back to his best and playing in his best position, his only position really, defensive midfield, and doing what he's best at in the middle. We need that in the middle of the pitch, not at right back. So Travis a fish out of water really at right back, and not at his best. I think he needs to be in his natural, in his preferred, in his best position to get back to his best. And it was a case of close but no cigar for Blackburn Rovers. They got a couple of goals, but Bristol City got their goals at key moments in the game and killed the game off. And there was no way back. It was a bridge too far for Blackburn Rovers. They just conceded at terrible times, and we got a goal back, and then 90 plus 3 minutes of added time to make it 3-2. But that says it all really. It was too little, too late. And Bristol City were clinical in their moments when they got their goals. Conway and Wells getting a couple at crucial times in the match. And for the first goal, Bristol City they went through Blackburn Rovers like a hot knife through butter for their first goal, and it was just all far too easy. It was far too easy. There wasn't enough. We were screaming out for Travis in the middle and Daniel Ayala in central defence. We needed those players. We needed Travis at his best in the right place at the right time in the middle of the pitch, and we needed Ayala in central defence. No, we were. It was too much. Too many. We got young players, and they have to learn, and they're learning the hard way. We need our experienced players back. I know the transfer window's shut, but if we can get some experienced free transfer players in, then I think we need to do that, because we're screaming out for experience, players who know the Championship. We need those kind of players back. We had some, but they've gone. We need some more of those, because these young players, as good as they are, and they are good, and they will be good, they're not ready. They're not the finished article, and they need experienced players around them to pull them through the tough moments, to get them through the tough moments in matches. And it's that streetwise knowledge, experience that this team is lacking at times. We don't have enough of that. Certainly not today. And it's a steep learning curve, and it will be this season, especially if we don't get some more experience in. And the only way to do that is players that are out of contract, free transfers, experienced players, whoever they may be. If we can get them on board now, even though the transfer window shut, then that could be the answer. Otherwise, we have to wait until January, and it won't be easy. It won't be easy without Ayala. It's we need more Ayalas throughout the team. So it's going to be difficult this season. That's my prediction. And yes, it's something that needs to be addressed. If we can get players that are available on frees, then get them in. The right ones, obviously, experienced championship players. If not, then we have to wait until January. And it will be a steep learning curve. But I think that these young players can improve and will improve, but they have to get streetwise to it all, and they have to learn quick.
Pete with Philly Rovers here of the Roverseas YouTube channel. Rovers go down hard today, 3-2 to Bristol City, to the Robins, to Nigel Pearson's crew. And it was a bad display on the pitch today, my friends. It was not a pretty sight. It was not a sight to behold. It was an ugly scene. And unfortunately so, because we had a little bit of momentum going into this game. We had the 1-0 win versus Blackpool away at Blackpool on Wednesday. Then we had a decent transfer window that ended on Thursday. We kept Diaz. We had a couple signings this week. Don Hyam had a good show on Wednesday. Then we got Hurst. We're excited for him. And it led up to the John Buckley contract signing renewal for Friday. Another couple years there. So things were looking good. There was a lot of things to be positive about coming in. Unfortunately, it was not our day, and it was not meant to be. Ben gave it away at a little bit of a bad centering pass there, and leading up to it, there was all Bristol City. You could feel the goal coming, and they were on a breakaway, and you knew as soon as they got it and they made their way down the field, it was going to go in. Back of the net there for the Robins, and they were off to the races. They make it 2-0, and you kind of thought it might stay at 2-0. Robins might be satisfied with that, but we made a little bit of a change there. Dolan, Edon with the assist, Teo with the assist to Dolan, and he does a nice goal there, getting it in and giving us a little bit of a hope, a little bit of a prayer. But Bristol City comes right back, and they really shut it down quickly for us, and it was deflating, and it just didn't look like we were going to get anything. Diaz gets a late goal, though. He does a Diaz goal. He gets a good assist from Dolan, and he puts it in. I thought he could have got a couple more. I thought he had a couple more chances that would have maybe given us a draw, but unfortunately, again, it was bad, and officially concerned, if I must say. I hope we take this week and we take it seriously and we go back to the drawing board. We've got a lot of young guys, and we might need to get them up to speed fast, guys. JDT, GB has given him what he's given him now till January, and now he's got to do something with it. Hopefully he can get back on it, get a couple more, something to solidify us there. We need something now at Wigan on next week. Pete with Philly Rovers of the Roverseas YouTube channel. Tough one, Rovers. Tough one for sure. I'll talk to you guys next week. Peace.
So, back-to-back losses at home now for Rovers. Was something I didn't think I'd be saying, to be honest with you, going into this game. In the past, Rovers has been, Ewood rather, has been somewhat of a fortress for Rovers, and doesn't really seem like that is the case at the minute. It seems like this team is two different teams, really. Just on any given day, we can get the team that plays Blackpool off the park, goes to Swansea, smashes them 3-0, plays QPR off the park, and then we have today Sheffield United away, Reading away. And I feel like that's the sign of a young team, to be honest. Inconsistencies, not enough experience to kind of have that consistency which you need to get out of this league. I feel like the back line hasn't helped us at all, to be honest. Obviously, those first 2 games were brilliant wins. And when we had our full strength back lines, and since then, we've struggled, haven't we? It's been 2 wins and 4 losses since then. Since Wharton was lost, and then obviously since then we've had Britain out and had to play Phillips there or whatnot. I'm quite disappointed, to be honest. We never got cover at right back. I don't feel like we needed the cover at left back. I think Edun is more than capable of doing a job there, and we've brought Mauler in, who is a centre back and can play left back, which is also extra cover there. But I genuinely don't think we needed it. And to be honest, we were trying to get that right back cover in Van der Berg, weren't we? And it doesn't seem like it's our fault that deal hasn't gone through. It seems like that's more on Liverpool's part. What's annoying, because, I feel like against Blackpool we got quite lucky that Travis, he got exposed a couple of times and a better team would have punished us. And today I felt like we were punished for having Travis there, to be honest with you. He's not playing there through merit. He's playing there because he's captain ultimately. I think there's better players who could have. I think there's a better team that could have been put out today, and I firmly believe that. Whether that be Travis in the midfield and you take Morton out, Adam Wharton had to play. So if you played Travis and Wharton in the midfield, then you put Carter at right back, who's had to play there in the past for Rovers. Last season, for example, played there a few times and looked extremely solid, putting some really good performances at right back. And all in all, looks an even better player this season than he did last season. So for me, he would have been a much more solid option there. Travis you could just tell he weren't switched on enough, weren't defensively aware in that position, which isn't his fault, but ultimately it is just a liability there. And he also just doesn't have the pace to play there either. He's not particularly fast. He's not particularly gifted in passing or crossing either, something that as a fullback you obviously need as well. So it was just awful to watch, to be honest. So I would have much rather had Carter there and then, put Phillips at centre half again, or put Mauler in centre half. We're chucking George Hurst in at the deep end, so why can't we chuck Mauler in at the deep end? And if he isn't match fit because he hasn't been playing much games in Germany, let Phillips start. And, I would have much preferred that. And we can't start the next game with Travis at right back. It was just awful, to be honest with you. The 2 in midfield needs to go, in my opinion. Same as last year when we had the 5-2-3. We're just getting completely bypassed in midfield. And we'll have the ball in midfield and there's no real options because the midfielders are being marked out, and it's just resulting in us sending the ball along, going for really ambitious passes, which, if they come off, then, it's almost guaranteed a goal at times. But those passes aren't going to come off every game. Sorry. We need a free in midfield. I think we need to sacrifice the 10 personally and bring a player back into midfield, or keep the 10 and go with a 2 up front, go with like Diaz and Hurst up front. I feel like some of the best football we saw last season was with a two up front in a 5-3-2. So I think Thomason needs to have a really good look at that, because the fullbacks were really getting exposed in that first half because they had no cover. The left winger and the right winger, or the left forward, right forward, whatever you want to call them, way too high up to offer any sort of protection really. And Morton and Wharton, because there's only two of them, were so central, and they couldn't really offer any support either. And when you've got two slow fullbacks in Pickering and Travis, now I didn't realise how slow Pickering is, but fuck me, he is so slow. When you've got two players like that who don't have any sort of recovery pace, they need that support. So it was just poor, weren't it? And to be honest, we were lucky to go in at half time 1-0 down. That flattered us. And to be honest, in the end, 3-2 really flatters us. First minute of the game, that ball falls to Dyke. Probably wouldn't have wanted it to fall to anyone else other than maybe Diaz. And it goes straight at the keeper. And I know it's the first kick of the game, but I've got to feel like in that situation, Dak should be at least hitting one of the corners, and if he does, it's likely a goal. And Hurst, Hedges, brilliant from him to create the opportunity, passes it to Hurst. Could he have shot? Well, he didn't at Swansea and put it on a plate for Smodic, and it was the right thing to do. But today was selfless again. Put it on a plate for Hurst, and he drags it wide. So at that point you're saying, well, should he have shot? But Hurst should have really hit the target, and if he hit the target again, he probably would have scored. So not great, to be honest. And then I thought Dolan was really good when he come on. To be fair, he shut me up anyway, because I've been quite infuriated with Dolan as of late. At times not passing enough, not shooting enough, and I feel like he's took that criticism and he's put it into action ultimately, and he's done the business today, and he should start against Wigan. An assist and a goal, and without him coming onto the pitch, we wouldn't have got back into that game at all. So fair play to him. He was the only one who seemed to, come on and really cause some problems. They brought him down about 3 times within him being on the pitch for about 10 minutes. You could tell they were scared of Dolan. So, in my opinion, man of the match, even though he was on the pitch for 30 minutes or so, weren't he? So fair play to Dolan. Another goal for Diaz, which obviously isn't a bad thing. Keeps that price high if we are looking to maybe sell him in January. Which, if we find ourselves in a position where we're way off the playoffs, I can see us probably cashing in, getting our money back for him, get the 7 million back, and balance the books. If we're way off the playoffs, because what's the point in keeping him if we know we're not going to have any sort of real push towards it? There is no point at that point. You may as well just take the money, and you would say it was worth the gamble, I guess. What the Venky's clearly made, thinking Thomason could maybe make the playoffs this year. We've started the season well. I still can't be too overly negative with today's performance and other performances this season, even though the manner of them has been poor. The position we find ourselves in kind of balances it out for me. They have been poor performances, I can't deny that, and they aren't acceptable. But Bristol, find themselves second or third, wherever they are, for a reason. They've had a great start to the season. They look a quality side. They didn't even have that Semenyo come on until the last 20-30 minutes or something, and he was a real nuisance last season when they played us. So if he was playing, who is their sort of Diaz, it could have been a lot worse. So the fact they didn't have him playing and they played us off the park and, saw out the result, fair play to them. They deserved it for sure. So we've had a really tough run of fixtures, I think, anyway. And to say we've come out of our first 8, 4 wins, 4 losses, I'd take that, to be honest. I'd take where we are. We're like, what, 5th, 6th in the table? I don't think many Rovers fans would have thought that, with a new head coach coming in, so many new players coming in, so many established first team players leaving in the summer. So I think most fans would definitely take that. We've played the likes of Sheffield United, Bristol, Reading, all teams that are up there. No mean feats, any of those games. And we've also had games like, Blackpool away, games we lost last season, Swansea away, game we lost last season. We haven't had one easy game yet, in my opinion. And I don't think we actually do for a while, really. Millwall's probably going to be the first game where it's a team that's actually down there, and, a team that, again, we couldn't actually beat last season, but we drew with them twice last season, so you would hope we'd get a result, considering they look weaker this year. But they probably will try and grind out a draw, as they always seem to do, Millwall. But that's probably the first game you look at and go, yeah, that's with the way they are, it's an easy game on paper. But obviously it's always Millwall, so you're never in for an easy game with Millwall, are you, to be honest? We've got Wigan away next, a ground we haven't won there in 15 years or something ridiculous. So I was really hoping we could get a win today to take the pressure off that game a little bit, because I can't see us getting anything more than a draw at Wigan, unfortunately. They're not doing particularly well, but there's just a whole hoodoo, unfortunately, of us playing at the DW, it seems. So we'll go on to next Saturday, and then after that we've got Watford at home. Again, another hard game. So I think, obviously there's no easy games in the Championship, but I do think this first run of 10 fixtures in particular has been really hard. And to come out where we are at the minute after 8, considering this is a new head coach, we've chucked this team together, I think we're doing quite well, personally. I feel like some people are being a little too harsh, and I think they need to take a step back, look at the fixtures, look how we did in those fixtures last year, look at the history we have in some of those fixtures. Like today, Bristol at home, we've beat them once in the past 5-6 games or something at Ewood, and that was behind closed doors. They just seem to be able to put in results at Ewood. For whatever reason, they just seem to be able to. So we're going to Wigan. And to be honest, the next 2 games, Wigan-Watford, Wigan away, Watford at home. I mean, I'd hope for 4 points. Can I see us getting 4 points? Probably not. I think we'd probably be lucky to get 2 points, to be honest with you, from those games. Or lucky to get 2 or 3 points. If we lost at Wigan and beat Watford, I think I'd take that now, to be honest with you. I think that's 2 really hard games. Watford have lost all their front line, really, haven't they? But I still don't think they're a team that, we can underestimate. So, on to Wigan, I guess. On to hopefully another derby win after we, won our first one against Blackpool. I'm sure the atmosphere will be intense. I'll be there for sure. I've already got my ticket, picked it up today after the game, and hope to see some of you lot there. But make sure to leave your comments, tell us what you thought of the game and whatnot, and stick around for more Blackburn Roverseas content.